Nairobi, capital of Kenya, has been known by several names: cool water, green city in the sun, safari, capital of Africa, and even at one point Nairobi, none of which totally do it justice. How about Nairobi? Kidding, this joint is insane, throbbing with finance, commerce, entrepreneurs and energy. It's a sizzling, wok-fried entanglement of human noodle. It grinds, it's fast, except for the traffic, which is a mind-boggling melee of incomprehensible confusion. If the chaos in your life is losing you sleep, come here, compare it to a slice of Nairobi. You'll slumber like a baby. This thriving modern capital exists in overdrive, and while it's hardly a pretty city aesthetically, it boasts the enviable title of being the only capital city with a national park on its doorstep. And it's the launching pad for this week's adventures on Scenic's Victoria Falls, an East African adventure. So far, we've taken in some of the continent's most marvellous sights, from Zimbabwe's Victoria Falls through to Botswana's Chobe National Park and the magnificence of Kenya's Masai Mara. This week, we'll head from the capital, Nairobi, south to Tanzania, home of two of Africa's greatest natural assets, the Ngorongoro Crater and the Serengeti. Before we do, we've headed just outside the city of Nairobi and into the landscape that has lured many a foreigner to fall in love. In 1913, Danish woman Karen Blixen married her half-cousin and they moved to a farm near Nairobi to grow coffee. The husband soon proved more interested in hunting and left the running of the farm to Karen. He soon proved more interested in other women, and the marriage dissolved, leaving Karen to fall in love with a big game-hunting, dashing Englishman. Does it sound familiar? Imagine Karen being played by Meryl Streep, meticulously wrapping her tongue around English as spoken by a Dane in Africa. And imagine the dashing Englishman being played by Robert Redford, meticulously wrapping his tongue around an American accent for some reason. The movie was out of Africa, inspired by the book by Karen Blixen, and this is the farm. Scenic guests are invited for a guided tour of her home, now a museum dedicated to the memory of Karen Blixen and that great African love affair. While Kenya is renowned for its coffee plantations, it's also the third largest exporter of tea after Sri Lanka and India. Just 30 k's from the city, the chaos of the traffic gives way to the calm of the countryside. Kiambathu Tea Farm kicked off a century ago and is still run by a member of the same family.
Tea has been produced here since 1918. My grandfather planted tea from a seed, which was sent to him as a gift from a friend in India. So what we grow here is the Indian variety of tea.
Why is it great for growing tea here?
It has the right soil conditions and it has the rainfall. Tea likes a good rainfall, about 45, 50 inches, just over 1,000 millimetres. And we do get that. We've come up a couple of thousand feet from Nairobi, we're 7,200 feet. Or 2,000 metres, so we do get the rainfall.
I have to say, maybe it's the environment, maybe it's because I know the tea has come from just down there, or maybe it's the perfect company, but this is a really great cup of tea.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Beyond the beautiful gardens is a thick patchwork of manicured tea plantations.
It is a major employer for us and a major crop for us because we are exporting between 95 and 96% of what we produce. So it's a major foreign exchange earner for us. And we're still picking ours by hand. They're not using a machine in this part of the world. It may come, but at the moment it's still being done by hand.
A lovely home-cooked meal tops off what is a thoroughly delightful way to finish up our time in Kenya. Last night we crossed the border into Tanzania, where endless plains appear embroidered with clumped bush like ground pepper on a plate of greens. This is where Mount Kilimanjaro rises to puncture the cloud with an icy peak. This is where some of the great destination names on the planet are: Kilimanjaro, Serengeti, and the one that sounds like you've got a dinosaur rib jagged in your throat, this, the Ngorongoro crater. This is the Garden of Eden. This is an animal paradise. This is another world, a wild, wonderful, entirely other world. It's believed the crater was formed millions of years ago when a volcano the size of Mount Kilimanjaro erupted and collapsed into itself. The resulting enclosure has become a shelter for tens of thousands of animals, making it something of a natural Noah's Ark. This surreal environment is one of our final stops on Scenic's Victoria Falls and East Africa adventure. See, it's funny when you look at it like this, you think, oh, I could easily get over there and easily get over there, but
wow.
It's actually huge, isn't it?
It's huge. In fact, the diameter is about 18 to 22 kilometers, depending on which side of the crater you are.
And that's why the animals are attracted here. There's good feeding.
It's good feeding, but we also have some marshes and, swamps.
Yeah.
And river,
yeah.
River Munge.
So there's water all year round?
There's water all the year round because we have Olmoti crater bringing the water from the top on the north.
It's very beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a self-contained ecosystem, yeah. I would say. There's everything here for all the animals.
And is there a natural pecking order, a food chain within the crater?
First of all, we have the predators. There's lions at the top, and then hyenas, and then the leopards, though they are rare to see.
Yeah. Being king of the crater, the lion has no need to shy away. So we've got a lion and a lioness. I know what happens next, the insatiable appetite for breeding.
Yes.
So they're lying asleep now.
Right.
But he's gonna have his eye on her, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. Normally, when the males have won their love of a female, they actually don't let them go. They actually wants to, remain with her until he makes he's sure that his gene is going to,
He's going to reproduce.
Exactly.
Well, here he goes. On cue. Mating lions pair up for around 5 days, in which time they participate in the breeding process about every 15 to 20 minutes. No wonder they're exhausted. While everyone seems to fear the cats, don't be fooled by the docile appearance of the buffalo. These magnificent beasts are renowned for being mean and moody, and are considered by many the most dangerous of the big five. And the horns look very sort of sun-bleached, don't they?
Oh, sure. And because of that, they look like former British lawyers wearing a wig. So they are bush lawyers, we call them. And look at the way they look at you. It's like if you owe them money.
It's true, they stare you down, don't they?
Yeah, look at that one.
Yeah. Unlike further west in the Serengeti, where animals migrate in search of food and water, most of the wildlife here in the crater remains year-round, thanks to the constant water supply. And what's that there?
It's a spotted hyena.
Right, on his own?
On his own. It's not very usual, but it happens sometimes. Normally they live in the clan. But if one is hungry, he can go alone. So the clan members keep the territory. We have the largest concentration of hyenas than any other park.
Aside from predators, the crater is home to an abundance of bird life, including thousands of flamingos in the alkaline lakes. In a continent of world-renowned national parks, this is perhaps the most famous of them all, the Serengeti. The name itself means endless plains, and it's the final magnificent stop on our extraordinary Victoria Falls and East Africa adventure with Scenic. I'm always wary of statistics, and when I heard that Serengeti had the greatest concentration of lions in the world, I thought, yeah, allow me to be the judge of that. We haven't even arrived at the lodge yet, and I've counted 8. They're sort of lying about in the grass, they're kind of having a stroll, and they're hanging out in trees. I've got another statistic for you. The Serengeti is home to the most chilled lions on the planet. Lions are not known for being natural climbers, and the Serengeti is one of only a handful of places on the planet this behaviour can be observed. It leaves experts baffled, but the most common explanation is that it's a good vantage point for observing prey as well as escaping the flies. If you're lucky, here in the Serengeti, you'll see lion prides lazing in trees as well as sprawled out in the savannah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lions here. What are they doing?
They're just chilling after they had their big meal. You can see the size of those males' bellies.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like they've just eaten.
What are they likely to have eaten?
It could be wildebeest or buffaloes. So this is actually known as a super pride.
Super pride?
Yes.
What does that mean? Just a big pride?
It's a big pride, and it's very powerful. They specialize on bringing down buffalo, even sometimes hippos.
Really?
And giraffes, yeah.
And they work as a team?
As a team, yeah.
Considered the world's greatest lion sanctuary, the Serengeti is home to over 3,000 of these magnificent animals. Whenever you go on safari, you're looking for the big 5. The buffalo, the rhino, the elephant, the lion, and the ever-elusive leopard. The last 3 weeks we've been here, we've seen 4 of the big 5. Today's our last day, and finally, we found the leopard. He's somewhere there in the bush, proving to be ever aloof and cool. As well as the lure of the big 5, the Serengeti draws wildlife lovers from around the world for the famous wildebeest migration. While we're here on the edge of the season, it is already a spectacle to behold. Right here is a great indication of the great migration at work. Thousands upon thousands of wildebeest, single line, heading west, propelled by some kind of mystical notion of food and water and breeding, who knows. Over 2 million wildebeest, joined by hundreds of thousands of zebra and gazelle, make the journey north to Kenya's Masai Mara, creating one of the best wildlife viewing experiences on the planet. There's something known in safari speak as the ugly 5, the marabou stork, the vulture, the wildebeest, and right here, perhaps 2 of the most squalid, the warthog and the hyena. That's never going to be an attractive shot. After almost 3 weeks in Africa, it is impossible to tire of these epic vistas and the total wonderment of all creatures great and small. It's 6:30 a.m. in the middle of an African field, and I feel like I've wandered into a Disney cartoon. And I'm sharing it with a couple of fat blokes lying on their backs with a flatulence issue. Yes, This is the wonderful predicament I've found myself in on the final day of what has truly been the trip of a lifetime. Scenic's Victoria Falls and East Africa adventure. In keeping with the theme of truly exceeding expectations, this morning's balloon ride can only be described as providing pure, unadulterated joy. There's a line in the Serengeti Balloon Safaris brochure that says, "This is an adventure even for us, whereas we know where we start, we never know where we might end." It's a comforting thought. Imagine an airline getting away with that. Balloon companies and airlines do share one thing in common, though. They all like to start at an ungodly hour. Once you get over that, and the fact that here you're dangling like a tea bag above a prairie full of killers, this must be the best start to the day ever.
All is good.
All is great.
Yeah. Welcome to Serengeti.
It's good to be alive.
Yeah. As you can see right where we are heading to, we have a big hippopond.
No way. Almost landing on top of a pod of hippos. Is this something you see all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We see a lot of hippos because that's why we fly very close to this valley.
That is wild. It's a real little oasis down there, isn't it?
Plenty of hippos.
Plenty of hippos. This has to be one of the world's top travel experiences, and all before breakfast. Lord, it's a veritable menagerie. Gazelle, wildebeest, giraffe, hippopotamus, lion. What else you got?
Here we have wildebeest, warthog, and secretary bird on top of this tree.
Secretary bird.
Two of them. Yeah.
Tree.
No worries.
There's a tree.
No worries.
You see the tree?
I have it.
There's the tree.
I have it.
Tree right there.
It's my control.
Yeah.
Relax,
You got control.
enjoy the
Yeah.
flight.
Oh yeah.
That will do the job.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's tickled my ass. Not often you start the day chasing away a confusion of wildebeest in a balloon. How's my life? How's yours? The Serengeti is one of the top ballooning destinations on the planet, not just for guests, but also for our very experienced pilot.
I have flown in several places. I've flown in US, UK, Spain, Italy, and Serengeti.
Where's the best?
The Serengeti is the top of all.
Why?
Yeah, because apart from enjoying, apart from flying balloon, you will always get to see wildlife. That's the greatness of Serengeti.
And this experience guarantees the greatness of the Serengeti will now forever be imprinted on our minds. It seems only fitting one should toast this once-in-a-lifetime experience with bubbles and a gourmet breakfast fit for an African king. Many people have a desire to visit Africa but are hesitant, believing it to be the continent of crackpot dictators, internet scammers and wild gnashing beasts whose preferred meal is that of a tasty Australian. Others get their African fix by limiting their visit to South Africa, and while I highly recommend South Africa, it's something of a soft landing. Venture further into East Africa and it will absolutely smooch your soul. This is the geographical, environmental and cultural equivalent of a
pizza with a lot. It's hot, it's spicy, it's colourful, it's flat, and it has a slick ooze of flavour. And like pizza, I guess, has this mysterious, magical ability to land somewhere deep down inside, to linger and smoulder.